Despite Trump's fear tactics and his authoritarianism, people, actually because of those things, people are taking to the streets. And we're going to have fun in this segment. We're going to celebrate. We're going to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and take a second to feel some joy. Before that, though, let me give you the context of what Trump was saying about these potential protests, the No Kings protests that have erupted across the country. As of when I'm recording this, everything has stayed peaceful, which is awesome, and in huge numbers, which is extra awesome. And so Trump was asked about protests against, because this is happening while he's also going to do his military parade. And he said protesters will be met with heavy force.
Celebrating big on Saturday. We're going to have a lot of, and if there's any protester wants to come out, they will be met with very big force. By the way, if for those people that want to protest, they're going to be met with very big force. And I haven't even heard about a protest, but, you know, this is people that hate our country, but they will be met with very heavy force.
So he didn't say violent. He said the word protest, which almost everyone assumes when you're just saying protest, you mean peaceful. Riot would include not peaceful. But that's what led to Levitt going, that's a stupid question. Does he support peaceful protests?
If there were peaceful protests on Saturday for the military parade, President Trump would allow that.
Of course the president supports peaceful protests. What a stupid question. Raquel.
Thank you so much.
Right. What a stupid question, even though it's a very reasonable question based off of the actual words that left his mouth, but we're always supposed to filter those words through a rational filter that makes him seem more rational than he actually is. And then he was asked directly about the No Kings protest and said,
there are several No Kings protests planned across the country on Saturday as well. What are your thoughts on those?
What do they call No King?
No Kings.
I don't feel like a king. I have to go through hell to get stuff approved. A king would say, I'm not going to get this. A king would have never had the California mandate to even be talking to him. He wouldn't have to call up Mike Johnson and Thune and say, fellas, you got to pull this off, and after years we get it done. No, we're not a king. We're not a king at all. Thank you very much.
I love how he goes, I have to go through hell. And he means checks and balances. What? You think I'm a king? I despise the fact that I'm not. I despise the fact that I have to get approval from other branches of government. I hate the guardrails of this democracy. Yes, exactly. That's our point. No one's saying you are a king. We know you're not a king. It's that you seem to be acting like you'd like to be one. And that you didn't address. So in response, people took to the streets screaming out at Trump all over the country that, put simply, we hate him. Here's photos from Los Angeles. Here's someone with this sign that says, well, something I'm not going to read. Here's a photo here of tons of people taking to the streets. This is in Toronto, but they're calling it No Tyrants because they do have a king. But they're still taking to the streets, which we love. This is in Philly. Look at that. People upon people upon people. You are not alone. That's a big point of this. You go out into the streets. I'm sure many of you watch the show, are at one, or gonna go to one, or you went to one already. It would be funny if you're watching this as you're at one. That would be kind of interesting. But love it if that's the case. Then, looks like people leaving a senior living home. They're going, baby, with the walkers and everything. The party has begun. Yes. Then you have this in San Diego. A big part of it, like I said, is to see people out in the world and know that you're not alone in your rage about this. You have someone with a sign that reads, if Kamala were president, we'd be at brunch. And this is a reference to a political phrase that says when Democratic voters elect a Democrat, they go out to brunch, and meaning they kind of stop being activated, and that to actually further change, we have to stay activated even when good or better leaders get into power. But it's funny to say, I would love that right now. I would love that alternative. And then you have Omaha video from there. Just, I think 2,000 sites there were going to be protesters. Let's listen to one of the protesters who's a veteran saying this.
Right here, if this continues, LA's not going to let it go. We are here. They have to realize that no one came to this country. Country came to us. We are here. We're not going anywhere. Okay? We serve this country right here. Look, I give my life to this country, but we got to do it right. Not for this jerk, not for this guy.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for saying hello.
Yes, exactly. I love that so much because I think sometimes when there's really bad leaders in power, and when we collectively, I said before that it's a little bit heartbreaking that, well, first we have to stand by the fact that we are one people, however apart we feel. So we as a people made some really wacky decisions. And that was in the context of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. choosing the guy who hates vaccines to oversee vaccines. And even though most Americans support vaccines, or supporting Trump whenever you do things that are terrible for you. So kind of the shooting yourself in the foot, shooting yourself in the face thing that we did, and that could be heartbreaking. But that can cause us to go, I don't love us, right? I don't love America anymore. I don't want to fight for it anymore. It can feel discouraging. What I love about what he said is, to be clear, I die for this country, but we have to do it right. We have to straighten things out, and I wouldn't want to have to die for this jerk. True. Then you have video from New York City, people in the street. Now, in DC, there were some protests that I guess crossed through a police line. Again, when I'm recording this, everything has stayed peaceful. Ed Krasny said Trump's America, where 80-year-old military veterans are arrested for protesting his stupid military parade. They didn't even let him use his walker. He's scared to descend. Here's the video.
Put his hands in front of him.
Keep it going.
Put his hands in front of him. Put his hands in front of him. Put his hands in front of him.
Yeah, so he's getting, which can we just... Does he need to be zip tied behind his back? You think this guy is about to grab your pistol and pistol whip you? Like, come on. Let's calm down. 80-year-old veteran. I think this is what this is reporting on. An elderly man from Gainesville was one of dozens of veterans arrested outside the U.S. Capitol building as they protested against President Donald Trump's military parade scheduled for Saturday. Officers said around 75 veterans were protesting peacefully outside the U.S. Supreme Court building. Later, a group of about 60 left, and officers began establishing a perimeter. That's when officers say the group pushed down a bike rack across the police line and moved toward the rotunda steps. Officers blocked them and began making arrests. So they didn't get violent, but they, were trying to get closer to the building. And listen, if they make a perimeter, don't cross the perimeter. But I can tell you this guy was not threatening anybody, and he is just trying to make his voice heard, and was doing so how we should, which is peacefully, and then was treated like this. And this image, this is the type of image that mobilizes people, because you're thinking, really? 80-year-old veteran in a group of people who serve the country saying, we do not want what Trump's bringing onto our country. So I do thank him. This is in Cincinnati. More images just to give you a sense of the scope of this. And then Martin Luther King III, who I think, my guess would be, has some relation to Martin Luther King Jr. of I Have a Dream fame, but we'll fact check that. He says this.
So it is only fitting that we gather here today, not in fear, but in faith, not in despair, but in defiance. We gather here in the shadow of Independence Hall to declare that we, the people, still believe in democracy. We still believe in justice, and we still believe in a nation without kings, without tyrants, without rulers who place themselves above the law. We are here to say this land belongs to the people, not to the monarchs, not to the autocrats, not to strong men, but to the people. Just as the generation of 17 and 76 cast off the crown and proclaimed a republic, we, the generation of 2025, pledge to keep faith with that sacred inheritance and let it be known to every corner of this land. We will not let democracy die on our watch.
Yes. Feel excited. We're in a dark time, but this is a little flicker of light. Now, side thought. Why does he also sound so iconic while he's speaking? How do I speak like that? You're his son and you also just nail it? What? Gosh, there's just something, it's just good. It's just good. Then Jamie Raskin was speaking as well at one of these rallies.
And Musk now says that Trump should be impeached, and Trump says that Musk should be investigated for his tens of billions of dollars in federal contracts, and for once, they're both right. My friends, fascism will not be the end of American democracy. American democracy will be the end of fascism. We will stand up for democracy and human rights and freedom all over the world. We will stand with President Zelensky and the people of Ukraine.
Someone's sign said, "We took down Elon, Trump is next." Yeah, I like that.
Against Putin's filthy, bloodthirsty invasion. We will stand with the people of Greenland, the people of Europe and Africa, the people of Canada and Mexico for our common right to trade with each other, to respect each other, to travel and migrate and seek asylum without fear and without terror. We are the ones fighting against terror and tyranny today. And I look at you today, Philadelphia, and I know we are winning. We are winning.
And we got to win too as well. So that's important. But this is an exciting moment for sure. Just sharing, just a little, it's cathartic, right? And then I saw people protesting in Fort Worth dressed similar to, well, let me just read. Dallas Morning News says dozens of women dressed as handmaidens silently walk through downtown as part of a march of dissent before a No Kings protest against policies of the Trump administration on Saturday. I think if I'm reading that correctly, they're saying, we the people were not meant to kneel. Yeah, so they're on our side. They're not like, we want to do this. It's like, this is what they want to do to us, and we don't want it. We're wearing it because we don't want to wear it. We don't want to be that, which is why we're being that symbolically. No, I like it. And then let's just close with one more Jamie Raskin clip.
No, you don't get to be a monarch or a dictator in America, and you don't get to be on the payroll of monarchs and dictators from other countries. Sorry, Donald, you don't get to keep the millions of dollars you've pocketed from Saudi Arabia, from China, from the United Arab Emirates or Qatar.
So this actually does matter. This many people getting out, it's sort of, you think of percentages, right? So what percentage of the country is upset or has some discontent? And then what percentage of them wants to act and can and has the time and finds out about the No Kings protest? And what percentage of them then goes and protests? And for it to be this many people, it feels like, well, then if you go the opposite direction, there's a lot of people. And also it gets in the news cycle, shows that there is, because sometimes people, loneliness in ideology can be a huge discouragement to act on that ideology, right? So if you feel like you're the only person upset, or that you're not really a part of the majority that doesn't want what Trump is bringing, then you might go, I don't know. But when you see on the news, or yourself are in person in the protest, or you pass by protest, you are cued to the fact that there is a collective discontent And now it's our job to act on that electorally. Again, for everyone out there, stay peaceful. That's the most powerful message and the most moral, and great job so far doing so. And it seems to be powerful imagery that all or a lot of the major news outlets are actually giving attention to, which is good to see. Every time we warn about Trump's authoritarian threats, the right calls it media hysteria, Trump derangement syndrome, and that can honestly get kind of bizarrely confusing. And then you remember, no, he talks openly about ignoring the Constitution, staying in power past his term, violates court orders, goes after his enemies, attacks media outlets just for speaking out against them. The terrifying part is, though, when you're not actively questioning where your news comes from, that kind of dishonest rhetoric can start to feel normal. The partisan spin, the legal gaslighting, and how some outlets just straight up ignore major stories that they should be talking about. And that's why I'm bringing to you one of my rare sponsors. Y'all know I barely do sponsorships, but this is one I really believe in, Ground News. Ground News is the only app and website that actually lets you instantly compare how a story is being reported across the political spectrum. If you want to know how many outlets are covering a story, that's what Ground News is. Coverage details shows you. Curious who's spinning it and how, the bias distribution bar breaks it down across the political spectrum. If you're wondering what facts are missing, look at their headline comparisons. And genuinely, the contrast is shocking. It's bizarre to see across the political spectrum how different the exact same event is being covered. And then I love the feature, the blind spot feed. It shows you the stories that one side of the spectrum is ignoring completely. And just one scroll, you'll see how many neutral outlets are actually leaning in one direction or the other. Democracy can't function without a well-informed public, and Ground News helps you break out of that algorithmic echo chamber. Now let's take a specific example. This headline: Qatar signs $200 billion deal to buy jets from Boeing during Trump visit. You can look at the coverage details. Total news sources 277. You can see how many left-leaning, how many right-leaning, how many center. It is identifying the bias distribution as 49% center. And then you can click around and see left-wing outlets. What are they talking about in relation to this, etc. And again, Ground News gives so much valuable information, which is why I've been personally using the Vantage plan. And it's become a smarter, faster way to fact check headlines and keep perspective. If you're watching this show, I hope that you want that deeper context. And this is the tool that truly helps you get it. And because I want all of you to have access to that, I got the viewers an exclusive 40% off the Vantage plan. It's just $5 a month for full access. Just go to groundnews.com/Beasley or scan the QR code on screen. If you care about where this country's heading, be a part of the mission to make reliable information easier to access, which is exactly what Ground News does. Don't just consume headlines, understand them. Check out Ground News today.